Welcome to the Rewind. We are doing this show to recap All Out and the awesome show that it has been. And I'm excited to do this tonight. I know you're probably looking at the screen going, hey, you're not Kyle and RN. And I know we're not because those guys are busy this evening. But there was so much awesome wrestling that happened that we just had to jump in and absolutely be sure that we were able to, take care of you guys and get you recapped. And so we're not going to be able to recap the entire week of wrestling. What we're going to do tonight is we're just going to really take a deep, hard look at All Out 2021 and the awesome show that it was. So, but real quick before we do that, I'm Bama Dave, and our guest, first of all, you probably just saw her on my show, The Bammer Slammer, the other night, where we did the preview for All Out. Once again, let me just say that she is the creator and the host of the Squared Circle podcast, longtime friend of the SmackDraw brand, a wrestling enthusiast, and a writer. This is Marie Shadows. Marie, hello again. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely, I'm excited to have you. We were gonna do something like this probably tomorrow, but I think you have something in the works for tomorrow. No spoilers, but everybody, stay tuned to the brand. We got some really cool stuff coming up. I don't want you to miss out on it. And also, guest above me on this side, on this corner, he is one of the hosts of the Perched on the Top Rope podcast. You guys can check them out on YouTube as well as follow them on social media. They do interviews with wrestling minds, with wrestling pro wrestlers themselves, with people that have been in the business. They have all kinds of videos and great content. They do behind the scenes. He's also a sports writer for Sportskeeda, and you do not want to miss out on anything that he writes. This is Lee Walker. Lee, how are you, sir?
I am doing fantastic, man. I am ready to talk about everything that happened last night.
Absolutely. Real quickly, I know you mentioned before the show started you want to plug something. What's on your awesome desk right there, sir?
As you see, I have the infamous Iconics WWE Elite, Peyton Royce, Billy Kay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Perched on the Top Rope will be bringing them November 13th to the big event. You can also catch them November 14th at Shadows of Legend 6 in Albany, New York. We do have Eventbrite tickets up now. Go check it out.
That is awesome. Awesome. All right. We're going to do our best to absolutely just try to put into words what we experienced last night. I would say one of the most pivotal, historical pay-per-views of all time. This pay-per-view is going to go down as a moment that changed the history of the wrestling business, and I cannot wait to hear what these guys think about it and what they want to say about it. Whether you're a big fan of AEW or not, whether you're a WWE homer, I love everything. As much as I can, I try to watch everything. But you can't deny what happened last night, and the shockwaves that are already being felt across the world of the wrestling business are undeniable. And so I'm looking forward to all the fallout from this, and I'm looking forward to talking with these guys. So what we did on the other night is we played Check Your Temperature, and Leaf has played it as well. He did our Money in the Bank one. And all we do is we go around the horn and we talk about, are you hot, cold, or lukewarm for a match, and then you give your prediction. I have the results of that as well as the results of last night's pay-per-view. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to both of them and say, what was your temperature before that match? And now that you've watched it, has your temperature changed? And then let's just break down the match and everything that happened in it and talk about it and what our thoughts were, what our opinions on. Did they get it right? Could they have done something different? And let's just be real and honest about it. You guys ready to go?
Yep.
Let's do this.
All right, awesome. So let's just start at the very beginning. So we had the buy-in match, which took place on their YouTube channel and all the places you can watch the pay-per-view in advance. The match between Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor, Wheeler Yuta and the Jurassic Express against Matt Hardy and the Hardy Family Outpost and Private Party and TH2. Marie, you were warm before that match. Were you still warm coming out of it?
Yeah. I mean, it was an okay match to start off the card and let you know the expectation of how fun the rest of the matches were gonna be to follow. But yeah, nothing really changed. I did say that it was gonna be a spot fest, and it definitely was a spot fest. I couldn't tell who was legal, but yeah, nothing changed.
Lee, what about you? Were you warm for that match? Cold or hot? And then what were you after the match was over?
I am just like our partner here. I was lukewarm in the beginning and lukewarm after.
I was cold in the beginning and cold after. I just I'm not a fan of matches that are free for alls unless it's a battle royal or a tornado tag or elimination chamber where the expectations are there are no rules, where there is no definition. But this was supposed to be a legitimate 5-man tag, and AEW, I get it. They thrive on chaos. They thrive on you don't know where to look, you don't know what to expect,
Yeah.
and I get it. Maybe it's the WWE in me, but I think it's more just the logic in me. I just like it when things make sense. I've always been that way. I like it because to me, if you can make it make sense, then not only does that show intelligence, but it shows you care. I do think there was some good moments in it. Jungle Boy got the win, got the pin at the end of it. I think they are continually trying to do some good things with him. All right, so then we moved from that match into the first official match on the card, which was Miro defending the TNT Championship against Eddie Kingston. Marie, you were warm for that match going in. After you watched it, what were you?
I was hot for that match. They really delivered. The thing is that I was not expecting it to open the show.
Me neither.
I was like,
me neither.
We're having a championship title now? That totally breaks all format. But it was a really great match altogether, except for that ending. That ending was the most weirdest, illogical ending ever, where Eddie Kingston's best friend, the referee that he has there, Rice Remberg, right? Am I saying his last?
Bryce Remsburg, yeah.
Yeah, where Bryce got in between the exposed turnbuckle and Eddie pushing Miro into it, and I was like, that was the most weirdest type of distraction ever to have Eddie Kingston not win. I was gonna quickly follow that up with they're gonna have to do a storyline with Eddie and Bryce. Some interesting referee best friend storyline of like, yo, you keep screwing me, type of thing. And being like, yo, I don't want him to ref my match. I'm gonna get someone else to ref my match, like some type of storyline. But I became hot for the match. It was a really good back and forth, and we have Miro still as our champion.
Lee, what about you? What were you before the match, and how'd you feel after it?
Believe it or not, I was actually cold before the match. And then after the match, I would have to say I was hot. I always feel that the first match of a pay-per-view generally will set the tone for how the rest of the pay-per-view at least should be, or, really let the guys and the women in the back know top that type deal. Which,
right.
AEW, every match, it's like, how do you follow that? How do you follow that? And for me, this ended up being kind of like one of those matches because I was cold solely for the fact that I didn't have enough time invested in the storyline between the two.
Right.
And that's, some of that is partially my own fault for not being able to watch every show, but, would still catch the highlights and stuff like that.
Right.
So I didn't have enough time invested because CM Punk was coming back. That was my other problem. And this plays a factor throughout the whole pay-per-view for me.
I got you.
However, watching the progress of the match as it was going on, each spot, getting better and better, bigger and bigger, I thought that it turned out to be a phenomenal match. I was really happy with it, especially with the corner camera angle that they have on top of the post.
Yeah.
The only other thing that they had done some neat camera angles with that in this match, but I wish throughout the rest of the pay-per-view, sorry, I guess I'm going to spoil something, that the camera angles, when they used it, were they just didn't pick the right spots for it. So it was kind of a lackluster in that end for me. But the match itself for these two, I had honestly thought that Lana was going to come out because she was completely free and to be able to do whatever she wants. So I was expecting her to play some sort of interference in this. Obviously that didn't happen. And I'm kind of glad because I wouldn't have seen the match. I would have seen the match in a different limelight. And to me, this match was just a great way to start. Boom, I was hot.
Yeah, I was hot for it beforehand, and I was extremely hot coming out of it. We brought up in the preview that Lana could make an appearance in this pay-per-view because her 90 days complete was up, and I really. The thing that worried me the most was how much is Miro going to sell for Eddie? Because Eddie is not athletic, and Eddie's not the hardest hitter, and he's not the quickest guy, and he shouldn't. Miro should beat him pretty quickly, realistically. But they told the story exactly how they wanted to, where Eddie got some key shots in early, which got Miro off his game, and then they played off that the entire match, where literally, Eddie had so many moments where, he caught Miro from the side, or he caught Miro from, and the way he kept hitting the chops right in the throat. And and the camera made sure to get in where they saw where he was hitting to make sure that the commentators could sell, on their commentary. Man, Miro is reacting, injured, or he's hurting here because Eddie's not taking it easy on his neck and on the back of his neck and all that. And I was like, okay, Eddie's going to win this match. there were so many moments when it got really close, and I was like, oh gosh, if he hits the DDT, this match is over. But I had a couple of moments where he tried to get the game over on, and Eddie was near the ropes, and he was able to break the hold and get out of it. And then that Mopta kick, holy crap. if that thing's off by an inch, your head's getting cut. It is so brutal when he throws that thing, and he caught Eddie perfectly with it and got the 1-2-3 with it at the end of it. I left so happy at that match. I was like, if you're going to start out with a high-profile match, that's what AEW did with Miro versus Eddie Kingston. But Miro retains. We did not see Lana yet. She's out there, and if she wants to come in as an associate, or if she wants to come into the women's division, we'd be more than happy to see her maybe in the near future. Then let's move into what happened next, which was Jon Moxley, the new GCW champion, faced Satoshi Kojima in match number 2. Lee, let me start with you this time. What were you before the match, and what were you after it?
Oh, this will make fans angry. For the match itself, I was cold.
Okay.
For after the match, now that the match is done, I was hot. Not because of the match.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I'm cold because every time AEW has Moxley wrestle somebody from New Japan Pro Wrestling, you get one promo.
Right.
You get one promo from Jon Moxley telling you how much of a badass this New Japan Pro wrestler is, why he's a badass, and all this stuff.
Right.
Throughout like these little video highlights during that one promo. It does nothing for me. Grant, these are New Japan Pro Wrestling legends. I get it. I don't have much exposure up until 96, 97, and that was only because WCW with New Japan Pro Wrestling, with the New Japan NWO.
Right.
And then for me, there was no exposure until the Bullet Club, so I don't have much exposure to New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Right.
Fans, you can say it's my fault, it's whatever, but I didn't know the guy. He was wrestling. Again, no disrespect to him. I know he's a New Japan star and legend and everything, but I had no exposure to him. Didn't know him. So for the one promo, that makes me cold because I don't have exposure to the person. I'm not gonna go look on YouTube. I'm just not going to. It's whatever. I was hot after the match because I know who that guy was. That is clear as day.
Yeah.
That was. So now everything I complained about, now it's like AEW said, "Hey Lee, we know what you're talking about with this one promo deal.
Behind door number 2.
We're throwing you a bone today." And I was like, I was amazed.
Yep. I was warm going into it, and I was just above cold coming out of it. Likely, I don't follow New Japan very well. I do try to at least keep up to date with who's hot and what's happening in the scene over there, who's the champion at the time, and what's the big rivalry happening. And so, I knew that Jon Moxley is trying to, keep that door to New Japan wide open as best he can, so these guys can come back and forth. We saw Hikuleo come over here and get face to face with Lance Archer, and we saw Lance Archer win the IWGP US Championship and take it over there, and now Tanahashi has it, and I know they're trying to build towards Tanahashi versus Jon Moxley here in the near future. I know Kenta is still trying to make waves and do some stuff, so I know there's a whole lot of stuff, and I'm not a huge fan of the New Japan style. I understand it. It just doesn't appeal to me, and so I prefer Moxley to be a brawler who can stretch you and, just hit you in the face. And when they go chop, 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 chop for the, little applause things, I don't get that. And so it's just not me. So now when Suzuki came out, there's a guy that turns heads, and I know how evil he is, and I know his reputation precedes him. So not sure what they're going to do or how they're going to do it, but I believe that it's already been penciled in. That match is going to happen here in the very near future. So I will be tuning into that to see how Moxley and him make that work. Marie, what was your temperature going in? What was your temperature after it? And tell me what you thought about the match.
Well, first, I'm your girl for New Japan Pro Wrestling. If you want to get updates on, storylines and here and there, I really love New Japan. I think I said I was hot for this because of Kojima, and it remained that way because of Kojima. But unfortunately, Mox had to get the pin. But, like you guys said, once Suzuki came out, that was it. I was not expecting Suzuki to show up on AEW programming. I was not expecting him to challenge Jon Moxley, and we're going to get that free on AEW Dynamite. So you guys better tune in for that. Suzuki has a long history of just murdering people and being really twisted and everything that he does in the ring. I could also see your point of view, Bama, about, when New Japan guys go back and forth with the chops and the forearms, because sometimes when I'm reviewing it, I'm like, I can't keep saying this. Like, I can't keep doing it. But they do it because of that fighting spirit.
Yeah.
It's that thing of just being the stronger, bigger guy and, like, who could really take as much damage. New Japan does have, like, some really good storylines here and there.
Right.
The overall match between Moxley and Kojima was really good. But I do want to see the New Japan guys get some victories over Jon Moxley so it can mess with his psyche. Mm-hmm. Because right now, Lee is right. Like, Moxley is carrying the New Japan guys. Even if the New Japan guys don't speak really good English or they're not really confident in speaking English, let them speak Japanese and let someone just put subtitles or have a really good translator. Mm-hmm. Don't do the whole Funaki thing. But to have some type of, back and forth. So that way we can both understand the story that's going in it and Moxley doesn't have to carry everything. But yeah, all I have in my notes that it was a good match. Moxley came out and then Suzuki showed up and I was like, this is fantastic.
Good point. So let's go to match number 3, which was Britt Baker defending her AEW Women's Championship against Chris Statlander. I'll start this one. I was hot going into it. I was fire coming out of it. These girls tore the house down. I was so proud of them. The whole time I was watching it, I kept thinking back to Britt's first matches in 2019 that she was really showing. I remember her being almost methodical. Okay, first I do this, and then I do this, and then I do this. And she had like Riho or somebody like that in the match with her, and I was like, she's thinking too much. She's trying to make sure she doesn't hurt anybody or doesn't do anything. And same thing with Chris Statlander early. You put 2 years under those girls' belt, my gosh, they look so good. They were snug. They were laying into each other. The moves were polished. Britt had a sequence of like a hit into a hold, into a pin predicament, into a turn, into an out of submission, back into a pin. I'm like, Holy crap! Who is she, Dean Malenko? It was so good. I was so proud of her. I was like, man, this girl's getting good. And then when she pulled Adam Cole's Panama Sunrise and did that move, I was like, okay,
There it is.
there it is. Oh gosh, she did it so perfectly, and I knew she would win it. I knew she would retain, but take nothing away from Chris. That girl is going to wear that strap in the near future. She's very, very good. I'm agreeing with something that that Cole said at our preview, which is she doesn't need both heaters. Something's got to happen with Jamie. She doesn't need to be Jamie Hayter does not need to be in that circle much longer. And if they want to eventually turn Britt into babyface, have Hayter turn on her shoot, have Hayter and Rebel turn on her. That'll get definite heat, and that'll get Britt Baker into a babyface attention because she's so loved. Everybody loved Chris, but DMD still got bigger cheers. She did. The crowd loves her. So I'm interested to see where they go going forward. And when we get to the Women's Battle Royal, she does have a new challenger, and so we'll talk about that when we get there. But let's go counterclockwise this time. Lee, I'm coming back to you. Chris versus Britt. What was your temperature before, after, and what were your thoughts on the match?
I was lukewarm before the match, and I was hot after. And I was lukewarm only because, for whatever reason, I just thought this was kind of like a weird pairing for a match, for a pay-per-view. And then I saw the match.
Now, when you say weird pairing, are you saying like you felt it was a little too soon for Chris? What do you mean by weird?
I felt it was too soon for Chris. I don't think there's been like enough developed for her to put her in that spot. One of my buddies felt that with Statlander, the whole continuing of the I'm an alien and where she's from thing should be kind of put to an end. But I was like, no, that's, she still wears the face paint with the color contact. I dig it. I think it's neat, but I don't think there was enough developed. And this is kind of where AEW kind of struggled with the women's division a little bit. But you have the heel, Britt Baker, phenomenal heel, by the way.
Yeah, she is.
Amazing. I don't think she should change to a face, by the way. She's too good as a heel.
But she's too loved. She's too loved, man.
So wasn't Stone Cold. So wasn't The Rock. Hulk Hogan. WrestleMania 18 or 17, whatever it was with The Rock.
18.
But it was Toronto.
Yeah.
They love Hogan. It was a great match. I didn't really see anything that had me like scratching my head. There was a spot with the superplex off the top rope where it looked like Britt Baker couldn't get enough momentum to make the turn because Statlander is taller than her.
Yeah.
We obviously saw that height difference. But thankfully Statlander was able to power her through it to make it happen.
Right.
Otherwise, we were going to have a bad injury on our hands. Again, I just thought it was too soon for Statlander. Like there's aside from that storyline with her and Miss DMD, there hasn't been much storyline for her that makes me say she should be the one, but they're a lackluster with the women's division right now, but Britt Baker is pulling it together for them.
Okay. Marie, what were your thoughts before? What thoughts after? And what do you think about the match?
I enjoyed it, even though the previous one we had Suzuki coming out, and then we had the women, and I was like a little nervous. I was like, how are you gonna follow that up, man? Like Suzuki is the name, no matter if people know or don't know. But they really delivered in this match. I don't remember what I said I was for this match.
You were hot for it.
Oh yeah, and it still remained the same way. So I was hot going in, and I was hot coming out for the match. Britt still retains the championship title, and Chris Statlander did everything that she could coming back from injury to be in this match. I do think that there should have been a little more build up, but I get why they put her there because originally she probably should have been there before the injury, but things happen in professional wrestling. But yeah, overall it was a really nice showing of like what the AEW women's division can be.
I agree. So let's go to the next match on the card, which was the steel cage match for the AEW Tag Team Championships between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers. Lee, What were you before the match? What were you after? And tell me what you thought about it.
Jurassic Express should have been where Lucha Bros were.
Really?
Won the championship. And this is where
Okay.
in my opinion, there is no hotter tag team right now in AEW than Jurassic Express. When that theme music hits, the crowd, they do all of that. They go hype. They're hyped for it. You just had Jungle Boy not too long ago face Kenny Omega for the AEW championship. They should have been the one in the spot. Granted, no disrespect to Lucha Bros. They're phenomenal. It was a great match. But I was cold before. I was lukewarm after. If it was Jurassic Express and they won those belts, knowing the fact that each time AEW has teased, whether it's Jungle Boy individually or Jurassic Express, because they've had their chance at the belts before, they're there, but they lose. Yep. They lose. Give them the belts. Like I know Lucha Bros is probably going to have a little time with it, but I felt it should have been Jurassic Express, and Jurassic Express should have won if they were in the match, but that's not how it happened.
Right. Lucha
Bros. Overall, I thought it was a great match. I was still lukewarm because I was butthurt that it wasn't Jurassic Express. Man, that the spots that these guys had in this match were awesome. The whole Nike shoe thing, like, wow.
Flashback to when they did that to Candace and super kicked her and split her face wide open with it. Yeah.
Oh man, nasty. But the match was good. Nothing against the match. I just felt it was the wrong tag team.
Marie?
I'm gonna have to agree with Lee that it probably would have been interesting to finally see Jurassic Express get their actual chance and maybe become champions, because they have been doing this push stop thing, and I'm like, when are they gonna pull the trigger on them getting something? I can't see the future of when will that happen.
Yep.
But I think on the review, I said, I was warm for this one.
You were warm for this one.
I was warm for this one. So I was warm for this one. And then coming out of it, I was hot only because the Young Bucks and the Lucha Bros had me care about it. I found the storyline inside the match, and I became hot for it. I have been on this thing of the Young Bucks need to at least go home. They're having a mental breakdown. They're wearing all these weird things. They're not even 50 yet, and they're having this sort of outbreak and shit. So excuse my language, but yeah, I became hot for it just because I found the story, and it was a really good story. I did like the whole sneaker thing because it's a callback to Candice LeRae. Phoenix saved the match when I was like, oh, this match is still going. Okay, so he's gonna be the sole survivor. They got the pop which was needed. And then I'm happy that the Lucha Bros got the victory. That felt really powerful. That felt after everything that they did to the fans, meaning the Young Bucks poking at the fans and stuff like that. They finally got the chance to lose their titles.
Yep.
So now we have the new reign of the Lucha Bros, and let's see what happens.
Yeah, I was hot going into this match. I was warm coming out of it. Yeah, I went the other way. I completely see both of y'all's perspectives on Jurassic Express. Here's the problem with that tag team. They can't decide what to do with Jungle Boy.
Yes.
That's the problem. They every time they have a great match as a tag team, a week later he'll have an awesome match as a singles, and they'll go, should we put him in a singles feud? Should we put him versus TNT? Should we put him against Kenny? And then I was like, oh wait, no, he's got a tag team partner. We got to put him in a tag team match. Lucha Brothers, every now and then, if one of them's hurt, the other one will compete. But if they're both healthy, they're a tag team, and they don't separate them. And also, like I said on the show, this was a flashback to the 2019 All Out when they had that ladder match and when Proud and Powerful made their debut. So I think this was just a full circle storytelling of, it's time to give the shine to the Lucha Brothers. They've been with us 2 years. They've earned it. And let's put the straps on them. Here's what took me in the other direction. Kind of like what I said up front. I hate illogical things. And I'm also a brother. I have a little brother. The moment they put their little brothers in their package pile driver formations, logic would dictate the babyface would throw his guy aside and reach out to save his little brother. That didn't happen. That's illogical to me. So I hated that. Second illogical, you take a freaking Canadian destroyer off the top rope, your butt should be in the hospital. You don't get up in 60 seconds and then throw a super kick. That's not logical. That is not selling a move. Bubba Ray Dudley took a hit off a ladder through a table and stayed there for 15 minutes because it's real. I don't like this. Then they get in a circle. Hey, you just chopped me. Screw you. I'm gonna chop this guy. If you hit me, I'm hitting you. I'm not gonna do ring around the rosy with chops. It was so illogical. It was so spot fest. It was so for the pop. Nothing about it made sense until the very end when they sold the move and Ray jumped on the partner to stop the breakup and the pin took place. And finally I was like, oh, thank God the dumb sucks aren't champs anymore. I was so thankful for that. I was so thankful. The Lucha Brothers deserve it. I cannot wait to see the magic they create with teams that will work with them. Them and Jurassic Express is going to be a great match. Them and the Varsity Blondes will be a great match. Them with TH2. Them with Private Party. I mean, roll the list. Any of the other tag teams in AEW, the Lucha Brothers are going to get matches with every single one of them. I'm predicting they're going to be tag team champions at least through Full Gear, maybe through the end of the year. They're going to hold on to those titles for a while. I think they deserve to, and I'm looking forward to what happens. But, Lee, I'm in complete agreement. If they want Jurassic Express to wear the straps, they need to commit to Jungle Boy being a tag team wrestler. If they keep playing singles with him, he's never going to do it. And to me, and you know who that's unfair to? Luchasaurus. Because he carries that team. He does. So he should have a chance to wear some gold. And and here's the other thing. If you're going to push Jungle as a singles, Luchasaurus can be a singles wrestler. He's huge. Give me Luchasaurus and Miro right now. I'll watch it. So let's go now to the next match on the card, which was the Casino Battle Royal 21-woman match. So they brought the Double or Nothing sets back, and they had the clubs come out first, and then they had the hearts come out, then they had the diamonds, and then they had the spades. And of course, the Joker revelation of Ruby Soho at number 21. What were your thoughts on the match? Well, before going into the match, you were warmed for it. What were you coming out of it to?
Let's just say that it rose to a warmest. I wasn't really hot coming out of it, only because, congratulations for Ruby Soho being all elite and being in the match and then winning the match. It's just that it's cool, my girl was Thunder Rosa. She really worked really hard in that whole entire Casino Battle Royale. I wasn't too surprised about who was eliminated, what was happening. I was just watching it to watch it. Obviously, you have Tay Conti still continuing her story with, I guess, the Bunny and then also Penelope as well. And then you had Anna Jay come out. Jade Cargill looked amazing in that match too. Layla Hirsch got in there, and because she's tiny, I didn't really notice her until the camera was right there, and I was like, oh crap, it's Layla. Okay, cool, let's see what she's gonna do. She did an amazing suplex to Nyla, and I was like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Did you watch her match with Camille at NWA? Whew.
Oh wow, loved it.
Wow,
loved it. That was a really great women's match for that. I would have liked to see. Like to see other surprises other than their own women who are still in the green stages of their career. When they do this battle royal again for whatever, just to have more surprises and more faces. Kira Hogan was in there. Sooner or later we're gonna probably get Kiera Hogan is All Elite. But overall, it was a really good, battle royale for what it was. I'm not mad that Ruby Soho won it. Congratulations to her, but I think it's too early to start this story between her and Britt if there's nothing concrete about it, especially like if Ruby Soho was doing the whole destination videos and something about it was about Britt and some type of like incognito way, which that's probably not the word I'm looking for. But if there was something there, like an Easter egg leading up to that for her to come out at All Out,
right,
then it would make sense. I would have rather had Thunder Rosa only because Thunder Rosa has been working her ass off and they need to really finish that story with Britt.
Lee, what about you?
So I was cold. And for Ruby, I was hot. The rest of it, I would say lukewarm.
Okay.
I noticed just tons of flaws in this thing. So when they first called it, what was the spades that came out first?
Clubs, I think.
Clubs,
okay.
yeah.
So that was fine because you could hear Justin announce them. Throughout the rest of it, commentary's talking.
Right.
And if you don't know some of these women in AEW, like I didn't know who the heck was coming out.
That's such a good point.
Yeah.
That's such a good point, man.
So like they're trying to bring these women in. I'm like, who the heck? I'm like, who's that? But you can't hear because commentary's talking over the announcer.
And then, and correct me if I'm wrong, there was no nameplates either. They didn't tell who they were. Nothing.
There was no nameplates.
Well, what they did was that after all of them came running down the
they
aisle,
showed a list.
They showed a list on the side, and I was like, oh, I'm not paying attention to that.
Okay, there's a list of 5 names. Who was who? Yeah, exactly.
Then you're trying to remember who was that one, when you're looking through the ring and stuff.
Right.
It was hard.
Right.
The next thing I noticed that really turned me off from watching the entire thing was watching Penelope Ford and the Bunny with Ty Conti's friend. You could tell they had no idea what they were doing.
Anna Jay.
Yeah, they're hitting her, but it's like
really soft hits,
Yeah, and you can tell they were waiting for their spot because they sat in the one corner the entire time.
100%.
And they didn't know what to do. You could see it, and it ruined it for me. Is what it really did. Which is why I was like, I really don't. I don't care to watch this. This is. I don't want to be negative on women's wrestling, but this is the stuff that has held women's wrestling back. Is this kind of crap?
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It was crap. You could just tell they didn't know what they were doing. They were waiting for their one spot, and they were just like, "Well, what do we do for the next 8 minutes?"
Right.
You're not sitting there having frickin' tea and crumpets. Let's go beat each other up. But I have to give credit where credit is due. Nyla Rose did a phenomenal job. Thunder Rosa did a fantastic job. Ty Conti did her part, even after the fact that Penelope Ford didn't know what she was doing, and she ended up being like one of the last frickin' 5 in the damn thing, somehow.
Right.
So I was frustrated with it, and I was, it was one of those things that you knew Ruby was coming. You knew she was going to be the Joker. I was happy to see it come down to Thunder Rosa and Ruby. I'm hoping for something to go on between those two. Maybe where Thunder interjects herself in a promo or something type deal.
Did you see Thunder's face when she went back up that ramp?
No, I wasn't paying attention. I was like I said, I was honestly rather turned off because of the Penelope Ford bunny spot.
All right. Yeah, I was hot going into it. I was hot coming out of it. Lee, I completely hear everything you're saying. And this is the weakness of AEW is on Dynamite, you're lucky to get one women's match. Most of their women compete on Dark and on Elevation. And Rampage, you're lucky to get one. I mean, Rampage has only had 4 episodes?
It should be, right around there.
Yeah, and I think there's been 2 women's matches in 4 episodes. So I completely understand there was a lot of movement and a lot of people. There was a few eliminations that left me scratching my head. Like Kiera Hogan went out way too quick. way too quick, and the camera didn't even catch her. She just fell out the back, and if I was on purpose watching her because I'm invested in her because of the stuff she's done on Impact, and so then when she flew out the back and the camera didn't like cut to the side of the ring and show who eliminated her and how she got eliminated, I'm like, Kira deserves better than that, so there was little things like that. I know that I was happy they gave Nyla Rose a chance to show off. She dominated that match, and she needed that. She needed to remind the world that this is a woman that you do not trifle with. This was a woman that will beat the living tar out of you if she gets her hands on you. And I was interested to see what would happen with Jade Cargill. I was interested what kind of presence she would have because her height and her stature is her strength right now. She is not a grappler yet. She is not extremely fast. Her power is where she lives, and she probably will live there. But I'm hoping that she's developing more and what she's going to do with there. But I am so happy Thunder Rosa and Ruby were the final two because they are the future. They are going to carry this brand. They are going to have so many great, memorable main event moments. And Lee, what I was trying to tell you is when Thunder got eliminated, as Ruby was celebrating, the camera went over to Thunder, and she was walking up the ramp, holding her head, going, "This was my time. This was my time." So there's something there. I hope they're not going to turn her heel, but there's something there of, maybe a little bit of sour grapes. I don't know if maybe she interferes in Ruby and Britt's match or she somehow gets involved and makes it a triple threat, but I definitely think that the money, as we all know, is Thunder and Britt. That's the money. And then the fans want it. The Lights Out match is still talked about to this day. And now that she is truly all elite, they have time to map out a 3-month, 6-month, year. If MGF and Chris Jericho can go a year, these two girls can too. And they can. This could be the Trish Stratus and Lita of AEW. They can always be running into each other, intersecting each other, and the fact that they're so polar opposite in their culture and polar opposite in their fight styles is even better. They can easily have so many great matches together, and so hopefully that's what they do with the two of them. All right, let's move forward into the match that I was the hottest for, and that was MJF versus Chris Jericho. If Chris Jericho loses the match, he will never wrestle in AEW again. I'll start this time. I was extremely hot going into this match. The story, like I said, was over a year long, almost 2 years when you talk about since their very first interaction. When they had that little joking, "Do you want me to join the Inner Circle? Do you want to be in the Inner Circle? Do you want me to join the Inner Circle?" But that was almost 2 years ago. That was almost right after the very first Dynamite. So they had this brilliant story told, and it was done so well. The 5 labors of Jericho. I know, Marie, you had said you wish the 5th labor was at All Out. So the final match was at All Out. Looking back now, I agree with you because then this stipulation wouldn't have happened. And Lee, I don't know if you watched our program from the other night, but my idea was that this is the perfect time for MJF to win that match, put Chris Jericho out in AEW, and that would give him a new platform of heat, and he could even adopt a new moniker called the Career Ender. And he could be a guy that targets these people that are always stealing his spotlight and somehow maneuver them in the storylines to a final match where if I beat you, your career's over. And I said, first is Chris Jericho. The next one in 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever from now, could be Sting. And if you could end Sting's career, you've got nuclear heat the rest of your life. You don't need any more heat. But go ahead, Lee. I saw your finger go up. What do you want to say?
No, because I said the same thing on my show, actually.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Same exact thing.
Okay, awesome.
This was MJF's time to shine and beat Jericho and, really say, hey, we don't need to rely on the legends, that we have our talent that can beat them type deal. And this was that time. The problem I had with the match itself, I was hot and hot no matter what.
Yeah.
Hot before, hot after. The problem for me that spoiled the match was Chris Jericho had gone on an interview. I can't remember with who it was, but he talked about retiring and openly said that when when he does, it's not going to be any sort of announcement. It's not going to have a match stipulation. It's not going to be this. It's not going to be that.
Oh man, Chris.
So I had heard that, and then they did this spot because he did the interview right around the time, and I just sat there and I went, Jericho wins. Jericho wins. That's it.
Man.
So it was like kind of already spoiled for me after hearing that. But then, like one of my buddies was like, well, what if he's just working the media? I was like, nah. I go, he could be, but I go, I highly doubt it.
No.
That seems like, and he was being sincere that, hey, when I do, I'm not going to have a big party on the next show or this or that.
Right.
He goes, you won't even know it. I'll just quietly walk away type deal.
Right.
So it was just like, I was like, oh, come on.
Yeah.
And then that whole stipulation came out. I was like, really? But the match was awesome.
Wow.
And they still make MJF look like a monster heel, even though he lost.
Yep. When that happened, I was upset because, again, like I said, we mapped out this great fantasy booking of first Chris Jericho in 6 months or a year, it could be Sting, and then it could be somebody like Christian Cage in 2 years or 3 years. And finally, when he intersects these guys, he ends them. And he just keeps adding notches to his belt, and eventually, when he's 30 or 35, no one will ever cheer him again because he's done so much damage. He's left so many bodies behind him. So I just think that would have been a great building block to that. But then the moment I went from hot all the way to cold, all the way to cold, was the ref interference from Paul. Because now you've set a precedent that if there's a ref anywhere in the vicinity and they happen to see something, they can change the outcome of a match. They can even say, I was watching backstage, all the refs were gathered around the TV, and I happened to see this. I'm going to come running out and make sure you make the right call on this. They should never have done that spot to begin with if they were going to do that. Because now, just like, I don't know if you guys remember, but on Monday Night Raw about a year ago, the ref heard a chair shot, didn't see it, and ruled a DQ. Didn't even know who threw the chair shot. Don't even know who took the chair shot. But I heard it. So this is a disqualification. Now you've set a precedent. Now you can be in a major title match at WrestleMania. Well, I heard a chair shot. Or, hey, his foot was on the rope. I know you were coming down for 3, but his foot was on the rope, and now you've completely overturned the story. I hate when they do this stuff. It's lazy to me. I get you were trying to go, oh, Chris Jericho's career's over. No, he can't end like this. He can't. Oh, yay, it's not going to end like... Just don't do that. Just do a false finish. Just do where Chris is almost about to tap, and then at the very last second, something happens on the outside. Maybe Wardlow accidentally falls in the ring or whatever, and Chris uses it as a chance to flip him over and put the walls on. But to do it the way they did it, now it's like, okay, the next time a ref's in the ring, I'm going to be wondering, are they going to overturn this one too? I don't know. If you guys want, go ahead, Marie, talk about where you said you were cold for this match because you were already over the story, but... Yeah, go ahead and react. And Lee, too, if you want to react to what I said, what's your thoughts on it, by all means do. But Marie, go ahead.
So, yeah, I was cold for it. It was a slow match. MJF got me with the freaking entrance because I thought we were going to get like a new, Jericho coming out, but no.
That was brilliant. That was brilliant.
Oh, it really was. I bought into it.
Oh, if he had a light-up jacket with his arms out, I would have been like...
Yeah. So that was my one moment of like, you SOB, like you got me there. But yeah, it started off slow and then it started to pick up, and that's where like, it got me because I really didn't want Jericho to actually like lose to like really do the stipulation. But then again, he's not Cody. Like Cody like holds his word. Jericho would say some stuff, but he obviously Jericho didn't want to stop wrestling for AEW. But yeah, I see your point about what happened with the whole ref situation. I got on Twitter and I was like, finally something new. They did like the WWE way, because I'm so used to AEW not having DQ finishes, count out finishes, every single finish that we know. So the moment that like something like that happens, I was like celebrating that. I was like, yes, finally. But then when you put it in that perspective, I was like, okay. It wasn't that good of a look. But then again, I thought Aubrey was gonna see the foot on the rope and not count the 3. And even though MJF was like, "Yo, we should be celebrating, pick up my hand and stuff," I just wish that she would have saw it, called it, and be like, "No, we got to continue," rather for that to happen.
Right.
But I'm just happy that we finally got a different type of ref outcome rather than the usual of not having, this kind of stuff.
I can see that.
Yeah. And then when it did happen, I was like, oh, that was Jericho. Jericho probably called that in the back to be like, yo, we're going to do this spot. And that's what happened. But it was an okay match. I'm still like, about it.
Lee, you sat back. I saw your head move a few times when I was talking. What were your thoughts on the way that match ended?
So I agree with you that it was more of a lackluster as to how it was done, as to compared to how WWE has done that. In WWE, when a ref comes down and says, "Hey, the foot was on the rope," type deal, the referee in the ring is the one who goes over and says, "Restart the match," not the referee.
Yeah.
So that was a little weird. The other part that where I was like in my head with it was, if you didn't do that spot, if you look at the interaction after the match between Aubrey and MJF, she was very disgusted, where it looks like he could have been like paid her off to not see it type deal or something, because she really did have like a disgusted look on her face and everything, and I was just sitting there, I was like, oh, they're playing that angle. And then the ref came down and I was like, oh, I guess not.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's what if they were going to have MJF win like how we thought, like he should have, that would have been the way to do it, because she looked like she had a really disgusted look on her face, but they went with what they went with. And that's where I was just kind of like, I still thought it was a good match, but that ending was kind of lackluster, and you can tell they've never done it before. They've never done that angle, with the referee. Because I just sat there, it's like, why is he the one going to the referee saying restart the match? Where in WWE, it's the referee who was the ref for the match, or they have like a commissioner come down and say restart the match. AEW doesn't have that sort of storylines with some sort of Dynamite manager compared to Rampage manager type deal. They don't have that authority figure in the company type deal to do that stuff. So I just think it was a lackluster spot, but overall it was still a good match. So.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in terms of the way the match went and progressed between the two, oh god, I hate MJF so much. I hate him so much, and he I mean, Lee, why don't you weigh in here, because we all talked about this. Do you agree with me that given the time and given the freedom, and if he goes to WWE, they'll ruin him, but if he stays in AEW where he has more freedom to be who he is, that he could be in the same sentence with Roddy Piper, Hollywood Hulk Hogan, Triple H, Iron Sheik, like the greatest heels of all time?
See, the thing is you're 100% right. If he went to WWE, it'd be over. There wouldn't be an MJF. It would be some sort of what once was MJF. Then the thing is like, if you've ever met him in person or anything, I interviewed him and he called me a fat bastard in the middle of the interview. I was like, well, okay, that's cool. I was laughing though. I thought it was hilarious because like he keeps in character. He's going to be at Heroes Hideout here sometime this year, and they put a parental advisory on it to let parents know, like, yo, you're going to hear F-bombs. You're going to hear this. You're going to hear that. When he's on the microphone on Dynamite or Rampage or pay-per-view, he doesn't hold back. He says, the only thing is, the swearing is not as much as to a local independent event type deal.
Because he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to.
He goes to WWE. He's not going to like be at a meet and greet and be like, hey, look what I can do, and stand up in front of a kid in a wheelchair.
Yeah. Okay. Or, the two things I've seen him do, he's flipped a kid off that was like 5 years old, and he may have done the wheelchair thing, but I know for a fact a kid rolled up to him in a wheelchair and said, "Can I please take a picture with you?" And MJF said, "Sure, you can. Just stand up."
Just So there's but then there's another.
Who else does that? Nobody.
During All Out weekend, a little girl was dressed like MJF, and the father tweeted at MJF, and MJF wrote back, "Is it too late to abort?" You know, so like he can't do that in WWE because
No.
like they're PG and he's
Jeez.
not.
That's heat, Murray. That's heat.
Yeah, I know it is. I'm not saying he should tone it down or anything. Keep it going.
So the
But
only
it's
wouldn't-
still like
so again, the only thing I'm thinking is he's 25. They probably thought if he ends Chris now at 25, where else is he gonna go? He needs time to notch up those levels. And oh gosh, can you guys imagine when he gets that strap? He'll be unlivable. He will be. Oh my gosh, he will be so bad. We're gonna hate him so much more when he gets that strap.
he's really gonna hold AEW hostage.
He will.
You guys think that Kenny
will.
Omega and the Elite are holding it hostage? I thought it was in the beginning of their storyline, but when MJF gets that championship title, he's holding it hostage.
MJF reminds me of an uncensored Miz, to be honest with you.
That's a great comparison. That's a great
is.
comparison.
He's an uncensored Miz, which if Miz could go uncensored on a mic,
Man,
I think we would get the equivalent of what MJF is, to be honest with you.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think the Miz and MJF, in terms of being able to speak off the top of their head, they're both in the same league. 100%. 100%. That's a great take, Lee. I think we should soundbite that one. All right, next match. Let's move forward, and that is the match, Lee, that you were the most anticipating, so I'm going to let you start it. After a 7-year hiatus, not knowing what in the world was going to happen with him, so many rumors, his UFC career, the Chicago's favorite son, CM Punk, comes home to AEW. Lee, I know you were hot before, I know you were hot during, I know you were hot after. Before you get into the match, tell me what you thought about Rampage when you saw him. This is real. He's actually coming out that tunnel.
Oh my god. So the funny thing is, a buddy that I haven't spoken to in like 5 years actually texted me because he was a big CM Punk fan, and he goes, "How bad are you marking out?" Yeah, I'm marking out. I had to send that text like 3 hours later because I was still marking out, but he still got the message.
Yep.
It was phenomenal to see him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then the thing was, can he wrestle? Can he do this?
And what did you think about when it was announced it's going to be Darby?
You know, I was kind of shocked, but then at the same time, I had to have assumed this was someone that was handpicked by CM Punk. He made it clear he wants to work with a bunch of these new young talents and everything, which is awesome. And you know, Darby's been doing bigger and better things each time, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear it was Darby I was like, all right, you know, he's picking someone smaller than him, someone who's talented. So and there's Sting. So let's see what happens.
Yep.
You know, so at the very least, if it turns out to be a bad match, you have Sting. He can come in and save it or something. I thought the match itself started off slow, but if you catch, there were some Easter eggs there.
Yep.
On the Rampage before, CM Punk was wearing a Bret Hart shirt. It had the B with the heart and an H. You don't think anything of it until realistically the first move happens, which is a Darby Allin arm drag, and CM Punk comes off the arm drag, sits there, shakes his head, and then, stands back up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you go and watch the 1-2-3 Kid versus Bret the Hitman Hart for the very first time, I believe on Monday Night Raw 1990, it was 1993 or 1994. I don't remember
the
year, but it was one of those. I want to say it was 1994. They had a match, and they started off the exact same way. With that funky looking arm drag, and Bret sat on the ground after taking the arm drag and shook his head and then stood up.
Who the heck is this kid? Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. So he added an element of wrestling history to the match, referring, CM Punk and Darby.
Right.
With, recreating a Monday Night Raw match, which for, most people, you wouldn't have even known it happened if you didn't look, YouTube it or, So it also brought fans to that match to go back and watch that as well. I thought the match, like I said, it started off a little slow, but that's why it started off slow. Once you have realized that point, then you can just sit back and go, it's CM Punk.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, I get it.
It was a great match. I was also really interested, and I want to know more about this when CM Punk goes to talk about it. Completely change in ring gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Complete change in ring gear compared to what we're used to seeing when it comes to CM Punk. So I'm going to be interested in seeing if that's what he continues to wear, or if he just didn't get ring gear in time and just had something made up quick.
He and Tony have been talking for about 2 years. I think he had time, so I think there was something else there. I'll go next because I know where Marie stands on this. I was hot for it in the beginning, and I was definitely hot at the end of it. I'm not the biggest CM Punk fan in the world. When I was watching the Summer of Punk in 2011, I lean more into kayfabe, and he was the villain at the time, and so I was not fully team John Cena. But I was more of, dude, just shut up and wrestle. Just get in the ring with John. If you win the title, great. If you don't, great. I was kind of on that fence. But looking back now with everything I know now, I understand the pivotal things that happened in that summer. And I understand the importance of those pipe bombs, and especially when it came to people that have been released and how they've been released. I understand the fact that Vince let him do that stuff is beyond me, because nobody but him has done that before or since. So it's intriguing to me. Now, the ring gear I get, I was telling friends who were talking about that, going, what the heck is he doing? Why is he wearing that? I said, if you go back and think, Macho Man went from that to long pants. Hulk Hogan went from that to long pants. Shawn Michaels went from skin tight to loose when he had to start wearing a knee brace. The older you get, as your body begins to need more help, you change your gear to accommodate. I don't know CM Punk's injury history. I know he had a couple of shoulder injuries, and he's had a couple of chest injuries. He got a broken clavicle at one time. So I know there's a few things like that. I don't know if he's had knee problems or if he needs to have more support in his knees. I know he had his knee pads on under the tights. I could see that. So I was intrigued with it. To me, it was cool because it blended right into the boots. I thought that was cool. Normally they have a color tone difference where you can see the boots. This looked like he was just one. This looked like he had just posed for his action figure, and so that's why he was wearing that. It was the slowest match of the night because he wanted to sell. It's been 7 years since I've done this. So I'm not going to rush into anything. I'm not, and you've got a speed demon like Darby Allin. Every move he does at 100% throttle. And so the pace of the match was, in order to beat this kid, I've got to ground him. So I'm going to grab a hold. I'm going to hold it. I'm going to make him come to me. And when it comes to me, I'm going to snatch him. I'm going to hold him. But the pace began to pick up. And I will say this. When he hit that GTS and Darby rolled outside the ring from the momentum, I was like, brilliant. Brilliant. I loved that spot. And then when Darby went for that move off the top and he caught him and flipped it into a GTS, I was like, there's CM Punk. There's the guy that is the best in the world at finding a hold and switching it into a reversal. It felt very reminiscent of how he got John Cena at Money in the Bank 2011. That quick, instant shift in momentum into the GTS and how he got John, it felt just like that. I'm not thrilled that it happened with Darby. I get it now why. I'm more accepting of it. I personally would have rather it been a Daniel Garcia or somebody that you just want Punk to shut them the heck up. That's who I prefer to be. Darby was so over. I am so thankful, though, that they told the story so well that at the very end of it, Sting shook his hand. He helped Darby get up. Sting helped Darby get up. And when Darby was getting up to his feet, the entire Chicago crowd was chanting, Darby, Darby, Darby. And so in that loss, Darby got over. And that was great. I'm so happy that they told the story in a way that Darby got just as much out of this as Punk did. And so we're now setting up for what's going to happen next. Here's the biggest miss of the night. Maria knows where I'm going with this. Why the heck, at the end of that match, or why the heck backstage did they not have CM Punk run into Colt Cabana in Chicago? Why the heck did you not do that? You will never get this moment again. If Colt and him come face to face in Philadelphia, it don't mean jack. If they come face to face on Dynamite or on Rampage next week, he's been here 3 weeks. Colt, what took you so long? You're in Chicago. The moment it's over and CM Punk standing in the ring and Darby and Stink have already gone backstage, out of the crowd in a hoodie, he gets ambushed by some thug, and the hood comes back and it's Colt Cabana. The whole crowd would go crazy. Absolutely crazy. Why that moment did not happen, or at least backstage when CM Punk is coming back and he's sitting down and somebody comes up and says, dude, after 7 years, you hadn't missed a beat. That looked great. And then all of a sudden somebody comes up and Colt walks up to him and says, yeah, Dynamite in the ring, we got to talk. Okay? Okay.
Oh, my God.
Okay. But they missed it completely. I don't know where Colt is. I don't know if it's a schedule or if he wasn't there. I don't know, but they've missed that moment, and Chicago's gone now. So they can't get that moment back. But that was a huge miss on my part. Marie, go ahead. Elaborate on that. You said you were cold. You said you were cold before it. Did they warm you up at all?
They actually did.
Okay.
They actually did. But that does not mean I became a CM Punk fan once again. Yeah, I was cold going in, but watching it with an open mind to see how CM Punk was going to fare against Darby, I was like, all right, I'll give him his props here and there. He could definitely do the basics. You know, he's totally fine with that.
Mm-hmm.
Everything they called in the ring, they called it in the ring. I don't think they discussed anything in the back. You could definitely see that the calling cues of CM Punk guiding the match, guiding Darby, and I think that's why it captivated me because, like, you know, watching his other matches in like Ring of Honor, I was like, this has the same Ring of Honor flow.
100%.
If you guys ever want to go look up his matches, he has great matches with Chris Hero that have this type of flow. His best of 3 series with Colt Cabana and him wrestling Homicide has the same flow. And that sort of brought it back to me where I was like, oh, I can see this. This is, you know, CM Punk here and there. Obviously, I'm still going to say that the master of the GTS is Kenta. He needs to get a new finisher. But I'm going to stick by that and die on my hill that Kenta is the best person for the GTS. And Kenta will one day get his match with CM Punk.
Yes, he will. Yes, he will.
Get it?
Yes, he will.
But yeah, you're totally right. And that slipped my mind that we didn't get Colt Cabana doing, you know, nothing. And, you know, I thought that the reason why CM Punk stood a little bit longer in the ring to get, like, you know, the fans' admiration. Yep. I was waiting for like somebody to come out and attack him.
I was too. I was waiting for Colt the whole time.
Yeah, and you mentioned that, and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't remember that. Yeah, that could have been it. But yeah, they missed the opportunity. I don't know when they're gonna be back in Chicago. I don't know if like maybe the next time they go to Chicago, maybe it'll have the same oomph, but that could have solidified it. And then imagine if Darby actually would have won, because there was a slight booing to Darby when he mocked the whole go to sleep, like, you know, saying and whatnot. Yeah. And imagine if Darby did win against Punk. That would have like really turned Darby, and then you could definitely see how antisocial Darby is no matter what. Mm-hmm. But overall, I did watch it with an open mind. It felt like old CM Punk from Ring of Honor days. And he did say in the media scrum that, you know, he's happier now. And I think me hearing that, I was like, yeah, this is weird. You are a happy CM Punk. You were never happy. You wore your heart on your sleeve. You cursed out everybody and anyone. And then all of a sudden you're happy. And I'm like, I don't know how to take that. I really don't know how to take that.
Yeah, I remember that.
But I think when we get to this CM Punk versus Cabana, I might have my own closure with it, because I just don't feel like you should, you know, screw over your best friends, especially when Colt and CM Punk went to the same wrestling school, did the same things, you know, was road buddies and stuff like that. Like, you know,
I would argue without Colt Cabana, there is no CM Punk.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I would definitely say that, you know, and I think that for me, that would be my closure if he's never going to generally apologize to the fans of how everything went down and stuff like that. But Punk, just for you, but I'm not your fan. Just I haven't come back just yet.
Lee, did you want to add anything?
No, I do. CM Punk. CM Punk.
God.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I said, I'm not his biggest fan, but I can't argue when he's in the wrestling business, things pop. They just do. So thank God he's back. All right. The warm-up match to lull us back into a little stupor before the main event. Paul White versus QT Marshall, or what I would like to call 5 minutes I wish I could forget. So I'll go ahead and start this one, just get over with. I was cold, I was warm going into it. I was cold after it. I was fully anticipating that hit to the hip would have taken him out of this match, and we would see Adam Shearer, a.k.a. the former Braun Strowman, debut and beat the living tar out of the entire factory and really beat the living tar out of QT Marshall. That did not happen. Also, the other reason I'm cold is where the heck was the Gun Club? They're the ones that ambushed him. They're the ones that turned on him. And then this match takes place and there's no Gun Club before, during, or after. Then what was the point of that moment? If they're not going to interfere. Apparently his hip miraculously healed again because he didn't have a limp. So, my gosh, warm going in, extremely frigid coming out of it. Could not have cared less. Marie, what'd you feel about you going in? You were cold for it. So where were you after it?
I was still cold. And I remember looking at the clock and I'm like, oh shit, we're going overtime. And then I was like, yo, they should have just scratched this match off. Because I didn't care for it.
This should have been the pre-show. This should have been the pre-show.
It could have been the buy-in, so that way we don't really have to go in depth to it. But how they could have saved it was that, because the Gun Club wasn't there. Good point to bring that up because I didn't really care about it. Paul White, Big Show should have attacked QT Marshall in the back, and then that's it. And a referee should have been like, or. What is it? The EMT should have been like, QT is incapacitated. He can't compete tonight. So, this is going to be a no contest. We're going to reschedule the match for something else and bam. And then we get to the main event and, send people home happy.
Lee, what'd you think?
So throughout the pay-per-view, I kind of thought that the match might have happened during a bathroom break. I was like,
or you were hoping it did.
We all said it was a bathroom break.
I was just kind of like, this doesn't that match. Why isn't this match happened yet? I was like, why isn't this match? And then it just kept going and going and going. And then finally, in my group chat with my guys, I sent a text. I go, did I miss the Paul White QT Marshall match or did they scratch it? And then my podcast host, former WWE writer Rob Hockman, goes, it's going to go between Punk and Kenny Omega, I guarantee it. So I was like, you're guaranteeing it, why? And then he explained, you need a match in between those two. You need a match to calm the crowd down.
Let them go to the bathroom. Yeah.
If they're too hot now, they're not going to have the energy for the main event.
Right.
He goes, you need a match to bring them down so they can come back up. I was like, okay, it makes sense. And then I type back, but does the match have to suck? It had a great build up for what the storyline was with QT, Tony Schiavone, and Paul White, how they did the storyline to it. It was cool to see Paul back in the ring, nostalgic factor to it type deal. But as far as the match itself, I mean, I really did not care, to be honest with you. So realistically, the match served its purpose. It was to get all of us fans to be like, CM Punk, CM. Okay, we'll wait for the main event now.
In this match.
So that's kind of how it felt.
Yeah.
But it served its purpose. It did its job.
Right.
But it sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing against Paul White. Phenomenal career.
Yep.
Definitely enjoyed the ring gear change where instead of trying to squeeze into spandex, it had a zipper all the way up. So,
yep.
You learn something.
Good for that. Big guys know exactly how that feels. 100%.
Yeah.
All right, let's move into the main event. Kenny Omega defending the AEW Championship against Christian Cage. I'll start this one. My gosh, what a match. I was hot going in. I was hot coming out. I said it before and I'll say it again. There are probably only a handful of people that truly define the name of the term underrated. Christian Cage is one of them. This guy is a brilliant in-ring psychologist. He so many times made me think he's going to win this match. Even with Don Callis messing with the ref, even with the Good Brothers messing with him, Christian Cage is going to win this. And I picked against him because I thought there's no way he's going to win this match. But just like I said, when he hit that kill switch, I'm like, that's it. That's it. All right, here we go. Game over. He's going to be 2-belt Christian, and I'm going to love it. But nope, didn't happen. Kenny Omega does what he always does, which was pull the wool and use Don Callis and use Brandon Cutler and use the whole elite to, of course, help him get the title back and win. But great match. I love that Christian says to Kenny Omega, I know what you're used to, but when you're in the ring with me, you're going to work, buddy. And man, did he work him. Kenny Omega's best matches on AEW have both been with Christian Cage, because Christian will not let him spot fest. He makes that dude work. And I'm so thankful, and I hope he continues to do that with all these guys. The best 2 matches I've ever seen with Kenny Omega were the 2 matches he had with Christian. And there was a moment in that match that I was like, okay, now I get why Kenny Omega is so highly touted. Because if you mix his athleticism with in-ring psychology, he could be untouchable. And I just wish he would do it more often. But my gosh, he's so athletic. He's so gifted at doing what he does in the ring. So I walked away from that. And we'll save the after-match moments for just a minute. But let's just go into the match itself. Marie, you said you were warm going into it. Were you hot coming out of it?
Yeah, I was hot coming out of it for the match, and then obviously after the match. When I was watching it, I felt that there was this instant chemistry and magic happening between Christian Cage and Kenny Omega, and
which by the way, Canada, what the heck is in the water up there? Because your wrestlers are phenomenal.
Oh, right.
Oh my gosh.
I really think that, Canadians love it so much and they believe in it. Here in America, once the veil comes off, everyone's like, oh, it's fake. It's fake. And then all of a sudden it's like people don't work as hard, but it's real, guys. It's real. We love it. But yeah, Kenny Omega, watching like his matches and everything and studying him, he does have a good mind for psychology. And he does have a mind for, spot fest and stuff like that. He can give you a little bit of everything depending on who he's facing. If he's facing Christian Cage is going to have him work. If he's facing like, somebody else who's like not as interested to make a really good match, but like to have comedy in it, he's for that guy too. If you ever get a chance, you can watch his series with Okada, and those are really great high level performances that are really good psychology wise. But this whole match back and forth was good. The first table spot where like he just jumps on it and it breaks, I laughed. I don't know if that makes me mean or anything, but I laughed.
Have you ever have y'all ever seen that done that way before? I haven't.
No, that's why I laughed. No. I was like, "What is this, Kenny? What are you doing?" I understood why he was doing it. And then the little mess up that he did when he was gonna do like the moonsault off the barricade.
Yeah,
he messed it up, and then he looks at Don, and then he was like, in his head, he was probably like, "Don, you messed that up." For some reason, I don't know what's Don's psychology about distractions. When it comes to a Kenny Omega match with Don on the outside, the psychology for distractions is very stupid. It's like, it makes no sense. Like, why? You saw that quick cut when Don was like, hey, come down. I'm like, really, you could not have stayed in the ring so that way we don't know what's happening, even though commentary has to comment on it and make the story. Like, it was mad awkward.
Yep.
Like, whenever they have distractions with Don Callis there, it's super, super awkward. It makes no sense. It doesn't.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of tired of the way that they do the distractions. It's supposed to be a play on how Bullet Club does their distractions in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and sometimes that could get tiring, especially with like Evo and Togo doing the same thing over and over. I get it, but still, don't do it in AEW as much. But Kenny retained the title. There were a couple of times I thought Christian Cage was going to get the championship title, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. But they couldn't do that.
Lee, what were you going in? What did you think of the match, and what were you coming out?
I was lukewarm going in, only because you just had Christian beat Kenny Omega for the Impact World title. The dirt sheet writer in me said he doesn't win this time around, which, lo and behold, I was kind of right. He did not win. Christian, you can't do that. It was almost like, all right, we'll let him win. We'll let Christian win the Impact World title off him, but you're not the one to take the AEW World Championship off him. I don't know who they're waiting for.
I do.
Or like, I want to say like it's going to be Hangman.
That's it.
But
that's it.
It's just, knowing that, it's just kind of hard to believe. Like, they could have had Christian win the match, but then, do like a quick placeholder and have Kenny win it back type deal. But again, you just had him win the Impact World title. So is it a fluke that he wins, or, where does it go from here? Obviously we saw what we saw, and Kenny won the match 1-1. Will we get another match or no?
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Do we get another match? And if we do, are both titles on the line?
That's got to be it. Winner takes all. Yeah, that's got to be it.
Because if you're going to do the winner takes all, I'd give it to Kenny, and he gets his Impact World title back and continue the mission of being the belt collector.
Yep.
And then the question is, when do we do that 1-versus-1 match again for all the titles? Because coming up on September 18th, Christian Cage is defending the Impact World Championship title against Ace Austin at Victory Road. So imagine if Ace Austin manages to take it off of Christian Cage, then what? We're going to have Ace Austin versus Kenny Omega? That would be fantastic.
Yeah,
nothing against Christian Cage losing, but yeah.
You bring up a good point, Lee. I didn't even think about it till then. It takes a pregnancy's 9 months. AEW, you didn't know she was pregnant this whole time? You didn't think to book this to where, don't even, if you know that in about 8 months he's not going to be available, you're going to still push the storyline the way you did with him?
I was going to say that apparently during the media scrum, somebody asked about Hangman, and Tony Khan's response was that Hangman asked for the time off.
Right.
And then that was it. We don't know if it's because, to help out, his child on the way, or if she gave birth. Multiple people are saying that she gave birth already. And I was like,
I think she did.
I don't know. I don't even know when, I don't know, man.
No, I get it. I just, because here's my thing. If she wasn't pregnant, would Hangman have won last night?
Probably. Maybe.
That's my thing. So again, you know what I'm saying? So why would you book a 6-month story after Kenny won the belt to get Hangman back to this place? I mean, did they really think? I don't know what he is in real life. I'm assuming he's a decent guy. Did they really think he would get to this point in the pregnancy and go, "Oh yeah, hey wife, if I don't make the delivery, I'm sorry, I got to go win the belt." He ain't gonna do that. I don't understand this. The only thing I can think of is, okay, let's build it in. Take your time. They're going to be hot when you get back. They're going to be so happy to see you. And so hopefully at that point, that's the only thing I can think of it. But yeah, Lee, that's a great take, man. That's why you write and I don't. That's a great take. I love that. Now let's get to the endings before we wrap this up. So let's go to the surprises. So he wins. Of course, they continue their assault on Christian Cage. Jurassic Express hits the ring to try to help because he's become very close with Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's kind of come under his wing. He's teaching him. They try to help. Kitty throws out a line, "Nobody can beat me who's living. And the only person that could have beaten me are not here or they're already dead." Lights go black. We hear the music. We see the logo. Out comes Adam Cole, baby. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest. I had a feeling we would see the second guest. My jaw hit the floor. My jaw absolutely hit the floor. I was like, oh my gosh, he's here. He's with his girl. He's with his buddies. He can keep his Twitch channel. All that stuff you guys know. All that stuff you guys have seen. I'm so happy for him as a husband. I know what it's like to be separated from the person you love. He's been doing this 4 years. And so I know that he's excited to be with Britt. I know he's excited to tell some really cool stories, to have... Nothing against HBK and Triple H. They did right by him. And Adam Cole said he was so happy he was there. All the stuff he learned from two of the greatest of all time, he's going to use that in AEW. I know he is. He's going to do a great job with it. But I'm excited until he super kicked Jungle Boy. Because now I have to hate him. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to hate Adam Cole, baby. I don't want to hate Adam Cole. I don't want to hate him. I don't want to hate him. Lee, what about you? When you saw Adam Cole walk out that tunnel, did you know he was going to be there?
No. I was blown away, believe it or not. When it went dark, I knew that they'd been teasing with being the elite with Adam Cole, especially with, and when I heard the living or dead reference, I honestly thought when it went black, we were going to have Malachi Black come out.
Yeah, that would have been good.
I was like, yo, this is a Malachi Black spot. Too early for Bray Wyatt. He's still sitting at home. He can't do anything. So I knew it was too early for that. I knew it wasn't going to be Braun Strowman, because you wouldn't have everything go black. I thought a dark, mysterious type character, but then when everything came across and the yellow and everything on the screen, and then he comes out, and I was blown away, to be honest with you. I was like, wow, that's really quick, because especially, Twitter had blown up about him. Especially he was supposed to Twitch one day, and he didn't, and everyone's like, "Oh, Vince McMahon is holding him hostage in his own house,"
or he's going to be on SmackDown.
Yeah.
So it was one of those two factors. And then when you didn't see him, on SmackDown, sort of deal, you were kind of like, "Okay, he's actually done. This is it. He's not with WWE anymore." But I did not expect him to debut at all. Did not.
Yep.
Shocking is what it was for me, because I didn't expect that soon. I thought maybe, okay, he'll lay low for a little bit type deal. Full force, man. He just from one company right into AEW. Yep. It's awesome. I thought it was great. I loved it.
Marie?
It felt like he came home, as if like he truly belonged.
It did.
I'm really happy that Adam Cole is in AEW. With me, it was just a matter of when, and the timing. The timing was right for like what I feel like it brought out a bigger energy from the crowd, because like the crowd was sort of dying, and then when you do that, the bigger energy comes out. I'm excited to finally see this heel Adam Cole unfold, because this is going to be a callback to their Ring of Honor days and him being in the Bullet Club with the Elite and also with Ring of Honor. And we're just going to get a whole new side of Adam Cole. Yep. I did tweet out saying that his last feud with Kyle O'Reilly set up the heel Adam Cole to easily and smoothly just come into AEW and start telling stories.
Yep.
I do know that on Being the Elite, they did a seance to bring him back. And I'm here like, this is really great.
Yep.
Does it take the spotlight away from Hangman? A little bit, But now we have more story to play around with because all these guys were in Ring of Honor and all these guys were friends. And, the Young Bucks were like, hey, Hangman, come hang out with us. And then we get more interactions and maybe, Hangman can definitely become an adult, grow a pair and, take everyone out because it's supposed to be his spotlight. But then again, that whole friendship is complicated and the Young Bucks are like, welcome back, friend, we brought you back from the dead finally. And then for Hangman to see that he should just go ballistic on everything. But I am really happy that Adam Cole is back. And Adam Cole, well, I mean, he never left, but Adam Cole's in AEW.
Yep. Yeah, we've heard the loudest pop he's gotten. I cannot believe I'm about to say this. The loudest pop he's gotten in the last 2 years was when NXT invaded SmackDown. That when he came out and did Adam Cole Bebe against Daniel Bryan, that was the loudest he's ever had a Adam Cole Bebe, and then the pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and he had 100 people, 50 people, 200 people doing it. When he came out and threw those fingers up, and you heard 19,000 people scream Adam Cole Bebe, I'm not kidding, full chills.
Yep,
full
I did
chills.
the same thing. I did
full
it with him.
chills. I was like, oh my gosh, this dude is over. This dude could literally catch HBK's mantle and change the game. But anyway, so that happens. The Elite reforms, and then we hear Flight of the Valkyries, a really dubbed remix version of it, by the way. And Bryan Danielson walks out that tunnel, and Ryan McKinnell said on Busted Open, he was in the room. Loudest pop of the night, bar none, was when that happened. And the fans instinctively go to the yes chants, and he comes down the ring, not doing the yes, but doing his side motion thing that he always does, jumps in the ring. Kenny Omega, of course, gets the heck out of the ring, leaving the rest of the Elite to go after him. He beats the living tar out of Adam Cole. He beats the living tar out of Nick Jackson. Gives him about 10 yes kicks in the corner. Then he gives him his patented Daniel Bryan running high knee, knocks the living crap out of Nick Jackson. And I'll say this, and I could be dead wrong. I think Nick took it square in the jaw because it was that snug. I think he's like, all right, you get one. I'll give you one. and he took it. But in one night, we had Ruby Soho, we had Adam Cole, we had Daniel Bryan, and by the way, oh yeah, we still have CM Punk. The landscape has changed. This is a different conversation. Whether or not the WWE wants to acknowledge it or not, this is a different conversation now. And I'm so excited about the future. I'm still not completely hook, line, and sinker on it, but I am not stupid. I know what's happening here, and I'm extremely excited about it. But Marie, flip it. Now, when BD walked out, what did you think about it?
Originally on my show, I said I did not want CM Punk or Daniel Bryan to come over to AEW only because they have the WWE stigma to them. And I said this before that all fans remember are their WWE days. They don't remember anything other than that. Again, with CM Punk, and for me watching Daniel Bryan, I watched everything. I even have a picture of him when I was a young teenager and stuff, which I have to find and put it up. But I know his whole history. But when he came out, I was hoping for the final countdown by Europe. I was hoping for that because I had memories in Ring of Honor singing along with it, and it was the best feeling ever to watch him live before he went over to WWE. But I'm happy that he's here because we get the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, and not the Daniel Bryan yes person. That's why I'm changing my attitude about Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson.
Yep.
Because we have the American Dragon finally. And it was really cool to see. I wasn't expecting him to come out on the same night as Adam Cole. I just wish it was to the final countdown by Europe. But I remember seeing people, at least one person on Twitter was saying how that Bryan Danielson is next in line to fight Kenny, and I don't think so. I don't think we're gonna go there just yet. There's gonna be some build up, but I don't think they're going to rush into a Daniel Bryan versus Kenny Omega just yet. So Twitter, calm down.
Lee?
When we got Adam, I thought that was it.
Me too.
I was like, wow, they swerved us.
Yeah.
They must be holding off. They didn't hold off. It's interesting because obviously we have this show going on, so I'm going to catch Raw tomorrow and see what Raw did. I don't know how a Monday Night Raw, which has already been kind of a lackluster, can follow a pay-per-view like that. How do you combat in a pay-per-view like that? But what'll really be interesting to me is two things here. Does The Miz continue to use a Bryan Danielson, or as we knew in WWE, Daniel Bryan moveset?
Yep.
With the kicks and all of that? Will he continue to do that? And how will fans in WWE react? Will they chant Bryan Danielson, or will they chant yes? Will they change? That's just something that piqued an interest in me, considering The Miz uses some of his move.
Right.
The other was when it comes to Bryan Danielson in AEW, with all of these debuts, not just Bryan Danielson, but Ruby, Punk, Cole. How much will we see a difference in ratings on Dynamite and Rampage with them? Because if the needle doesn't move that much, all WWE is going to say is, we did the right thing then. WWE's ratings have gone up on, Raw has been hitting 1.8, 1.9. SmackDown's been hitting 2s. Raw hit a 2, I think, at one point. Yep. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But, so ratings are going up, not just for AEW, but they're also going up for WWE. Impact is still a roller coaster, and now you can't even find a news source on Impact ratings because literally just nobody's covering it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's not worth covering anymore, is basically the gist I've gotten out of it, because you have to pay to watch it now on like YouTube or something that they switched to.
It's really weird and awkward.
Impact needs a TV deal now. They need a TV deal badly. They do.
So those are the two biggest things that I'm interested, that I took away from all of everybody showing up.
Yep.
It was great. The pay-per-view was awesome and everything. But will we see the difference will be when it comes to ratings. Now, there's a lot of fans that say, well, ratings don't matter. It's going to matter.
Yep.
It's going to start to matter. 1993, WWF starts Monday Night Raw. They were getting ratings of 900,000, I believe. And from 1993, it took them till 1995, I believe,
to break a million.
To break a million. AEW did it in a year.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I'm very, like I said, the landscape has now changed. I'm predicting, and I could be dead wrong, I'm predicting AEW pulls a 1.5 this Wednesday. I think that's doable with these shockwaves. And then if they tell the stories correctly, I think Rampage could easily stay above 1 million. I would not be shocked if AEW is pulling a healthy 2 by the end of this year. I would not be shocked at all. Let's bring this in for a landing, guys. Thank y'all so much for watching the Rewind with us. Thank you all of you that stayed with us and watched it live. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Click the bell so you'll get notified immediately. Again, if you want to give us a rating on the podcast, wherever you might be listening, please make sure you do that. We thank you for your support. We appreciate it. Also, if you want to support us financially, go to paypal.me/SmackDropPod, or you can please go to our Patreon at patreon.com/SmackDropPodcast. And you can support us. We will take care of you and do a lot of cool things with you. And depending on what subscription tier you get, we will make sure that you are taken well care of and get a lot of our swag. Marie, as always, please put yourself over. Where can we find you on social media? What do you got going on right now?
Of course, I'm Marie Shadows. I am the creator and the host of the Square Circle podcast and also the Ring Crew vlog. You guys can catch those shows over on anchor.fm/Square Circle podcast. That is for the review of wrestling, meaning New Japan Pro Wrestling, All Elite Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, and my days at WWE when I was there. The Ring Crew vlog is over on the YouTube side, youtube.com/Square Circle podcast. My wrestling commentary samples are over there too. I'm trying to break back into the business to be a wrestling commenter because we need more women on that commentary booth. So make sure to go listen to my work and tag a promotion you want to see me work with. And then also, you can follow me on Twitter for all of my wrestling takes at Marie_Shadows. I hope to see you there so we could talk about wrestling.
Lee, please put yourself over and the Perched on the Top Rope podcast, and what do you have coming up in the future, sir?
I'm going to make this really brief. Ladies and gentlemen, you can follow me anywhere from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, I believe even Snapchat, YouTube, anywhere you can find podcasts from Spotify, Google, Amazon, Apple. Everything is Perched on the Top Rope. I'm doing I Have to Pee dance, so just remember, fans, spoiler freeze, the way to be. I'm out.
Thank y'all for hanging with us, and as always, thank you for watching us here on the Rewind and the Smack Drop brand.